Once you start to realize what this reality is, a lot of things start to make sense, because these people in the shadows, deeply in the shadows, they know what reality is, and therefore they know how to manipulate it because they know how we're interacting with it. And if you look at the so-called solid physical world, it's not. I mean, quantum physics can point this out very simply. It's an illusory physical reality, which is actually holographic. And the base foundation of this reality is waveform information fields, which are decoded through what I call the biological computer, because that's how they see it. To these people, you talk about the mice and stuff, Alex, earlier. To these people, the body is a piece of biological technology. And they can manipulate it to decode a certain amount of reality, but not a greater amount of reality.
Sure.
This means we have to look at symbolism and all these symbols put around us in another light, because these symbols are not just like, people holding torches and eyes and stuff. They are information fields, and they put them around us because they are speaking to us. They are exchanging information with us on a subconscious level, and it's a whole psychological game to implant in all the ways that you've discussed, and I'm talking now.
They're program prompters.
Into the subconscious, and then that filters through as a conscious thought, a conscious response, an emotional response, which we take to be us, and it's not. It's information that's been put in there for us to believe is our thoughts and emotions. That there is an energetic, let's call it, because it's true, information change going on in the waveform fabric of our reality. I knew about it 20 years ago, and I was told that the effect it would have would be that I was going to see in my lifetime this great awakening of people to see a new vision of self in the world that they'd never seen before, and all that had been hidden was going to be brought to the surface by this information change. Now, we are consciousness having an experience through a biological computer called the body mind, which allows us to experience a certain range of frequencies that we call the physical world. Now, the stadium in which these people are running their control system is body mind, and it has a frequency range. Once you open your mind to consciousness, I mean, what Christians would call the soul, and many other different religions and beliefs call it different things, but the greater self,
spirit,
that which near-death experiences are experiencing, where they leave the body and the reality is completely changed, and it's much more expansive, and everything becomes possible, and it's amazing the way they describe it.
A gleaming bright light will shine white from the heart of God, with such power that you hardly dare to look into it, and still won't be able to steer your eyes away from it.
Once you do that, that power starts to come through the body-mind computer. The control system can't deal with that because it's not in its field of frequency to deal with it. It doesn't have the power to deal with it. When you look at the system, Alex, you look at the society and the way it's structured. It's systematically structured to do this: to pull our point of attention, i.e. our sense of perspective, who we are and what's happening in the world, into the five senses, into their stadium. This is what they're manipulating. And when we're in five sense reality alone, then we are playing away from home. And we can only perceive self and the world and world events through the five senses.
Well, here's an example, David. They, as you know, for over 100 years, they've done scientific studies the world over that there is a sixth sense, stronger in some people than others, that you're walking through your family ranch, you feel someone looking at you, you turn, you walk 200 yards, somebody's in a deer stand on a hill looking at you, you sense them. You're in a restaurant, you feel someone looking at you, you turn around, there they are. It's real, and in my life, whenever I've gone with my instinct, my gut, it's always right.
The intellect and intuition, that's absolutely key to what I've been saying here, because the intellect operates within the body-mind biological computer, and therefore, because it's such a low level of awareness compared with consciousness, soul, whatever you want to call it, it has to work things out. When we have an intuitive feeling, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. You don't have to work it out or explain it. You just know. Why? Because that's coming from that which is beyond this manipulated reality, and that can take you through the maze in the world that's been created for us that the intellect has got no chance of doing, and that's the way home. That for me, my head and my intuitive knowing were at war with each other. I was going with my intuition, and that's all I've done ever since. And eventually, the head and the intuition, the intellect and the heart come together. So the head starts to serve consciousness rather than be the governor of it. In terms of this intuitive knowing, by the way, this is what the system's terrified of. In their own writings, they say the only thing that could disrupt our plans is maverick people. And maverick people are those that come from intuitive knowing rather than programmed mind. I'm sick of hearing people say, oh, you're frightening people. Oh no, it's negative. Knowledge is never negative. Knowledge always empowers, no matter what knowledge it is, because it's giving you a greater fix on the situation we're facing. I tell you what's negative: ignorance. Ignorance is negative. That's how we got into this situation. And people who say, "Oh, it's negative," or get a grip of yourself, because if we are going to be frightened even of the information circulating, then we've got no chance at all. And this is what we need to do. We've got to start running at them, running at the system, ceasing to cooperate with it, ceasing to be intimidated by it, and we'll be amazed. The power that this system has over humanity. It's persuading humanity. He has power over them. It's a mind trick, a mind game. And when you run at these people, you realize actually it is just a figment of people's imagination. The power is not there. They just want us to believe it, because then we'll acquiesce to them. We are not our names. We are not our job. We are not our income bracket. We are not our race. We are consciousness having those experiences. And when you remember that, then this incredible power comes into your life, which is just the greater you expressing itself because you've opened your mind and let it in. And then what we call miracles become possible, including what many people would see as a miracle currently, which is bringing this control system down. But it will come down. It will come down. Consciousness will bring it down, because it is built on mind. And consciousness and mind are like the sumo wrestler and the two-stone weakling. It's so important now that people stop seeing things like love and spiritual things as concepts. They have to become actions. Well, we need to take it from the theory to the action, and then we'll get somewhere. We don't have the feeling that actually we can take the power to take the system on and be effective against the system, because we don't think the system is all bloody powerful. No, it is all powerful. Therefore, you would be dead. They wouldn't let you do this. Well, there are other forces at work as well. We look out in this tiny frequency range we call visible light, which is barely existing, and we think that everything we see and the human form on Earth is the only one that exists, and it's the only reality. There are multiple infinite realities. Religions talk about them in their own way, and there are many levels of reality that are working to bring an end to what's happening in our reality, in our world, and they are protecting people who are willing to do what is necessary to expose all this and make a difference. They are protecting them, and therefore it is not as easy as always saying something we don't like, bang bang. It's not, and we've got to get over this defeatism that only a dead researcher is a genuine researcher. See, he was telling you the truth. They've killed him now. I mean, where are we going with this? If that's what we believe and that's what we feel, well, put your hands out and let's get the chains on now, because it's over. In a way, they're almost always psychological, because this is a mind game. The few cannot control the many physically. They can do it. You can do it in small areas with tanks in the streets and soldiers at the door, but you can't do it to 7 billion people. There's not enough of you, even when you recruit your law enforcement from the target population, which there's so few of them, that's what they have to do. So it's a mind game, it's a psychological game. I think there's two things going on here. On one level, the more that they're telling us it's happening, the more people are getting used to it that aren't aware of the implications. And also, the more they're saying, see, we have all the power, we can do what we like, and on that level of psychology. But on another side to it, there's a race going on. There's no question that the world is waking up. This wake up is universal. It's planet-wide, and they are now desperate to get the control structure in place before enough people wake up, see it, and then cross that road I've just been talking about, cross the street, and bring the house of cards down, because it is a house of cards, because we, humanity, asleep humanity, are holding the house of cards together. That's why it's standing up there.